Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash, the 1/3 and the 2/3. What and where is it? This video comes to inspiration of a clip that I received last night from one of the brothers in the New York camp dealing with the Sakari, mainly the chief high priest Alazar, and I believe that was Hassad that was reading for him, if I'm not mistaken. And pretty much he's saying that the 1/3 and the 2/3 is not talking about here in America. It's talking about in the land of Israel, the actual land of Israel. Which he's totally wrong on that. And we're going to go through it and show you. And then he's going into the verse where it speaks about the idols, and we know that's not talking about America, even though we know that America is not going to stop worshiping idols or something along those lines. It was a 4-minute clip that I watched from the actual video was 6 hours and 20 minutes long, and maybe around the 2 hour and 20-minute video, that's where he started speaking about it from the clip that I got. So nevertheless, the 1/3 and the 2/3 is talking about here in America. All right, and we're gonna go through the scripture and show you that that's what it's talking about. I mean, he was saying some points that he was trying to bring out, but he was wrong on it, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So when we go to Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 1, it says, "In that day there shall be a fountain opened to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness." So the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem represent the whole nation of Israel. How do we know that? When we go to the book of Amos 9 and 11, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen." And this wasn't talking about 2,000 years ago. This is talking about in these times now, which we're going to get back to this. All right, we're going to get back to that. But this is talking about the whole nation of Israel. Now, the whole nation of Israel was not in the land of Jerusalem, Israel, back in those days. The southern kingdom was there for the most part, even though the southern kingdom was also scattered around Europe, Africa, and different other places, Elam, and all of that. And you had some of the northern kingdom there that were mixed among some of the southern kingdom. The majority of the northern kingdom was over here in what is called the Americas today. So it's impossible for this to be talking about back then, or even in the land of Israel today now, because the majority of the Israelites, or a good portion of the Israelites, are here in America. And this is the place where Jake woke up. Jake didn't wake up in the land of Israel. Jake didn't wake up in the land of Africa. Jake didn't wake up in the land of Russia or Australia or anything like that. The truth came from where? From Harlem, New York, 1 West 125th Street, which is the same truth that's being taught throughout the four corners of the earth today. And you have those that learned a couple of scriptures, were disgruntled, and wanted to go and start their own thing, and just started botching up everything. And instead of starting their own thing, they take pieces and bits of what they like and discard the rest. But it is what it is. So it says, "In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of Israel." What is that fountain that is open to the house of Israel? Meaning the whole nation of Israel, not just the southern kingdom, which was predominantly in the land of Jerusalem and Israel at that time. That fountain represents this truth. All right, beginning with the sufferings and the great sacrifice that Yahushua did or made 2,000 years ago for us today. All right, and at one point we were lost, so the fountain had to be reopened again. All right, so this is the fountain being opened to the whole house of Israel, not just to the southern kingdom. and the ones that were there at the time. All right. So when we go to Malachi, because how did that happen in these times? Well, it happened through a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens, which we don't hear any camp out there speaking about for the most part, especially the main camps that came directly out of One West, like ISUPK. They don't really mention them. The IUIC don't really mention them, that I know of, or that I've heard. And if they have, then I will apologize. But the main people or the main group that I've seen speaking about Elder Abba Bivens is Great Millstone. All right. So Malachi 4 and 5, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's talking about these times now. Because back 2,000 years ago, the great day of the Lord did not happen. All right. The great day of the Lord did not happen 2,000 years ago. The great day of the Lord is about to happen now. All right. So this is speaking about in these times now. So when did this happen? When did the truth that we speak, when did it really start springing forth and taking root on the earth as it is this day? From a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens, who we believe in the spirit is Elijah the prophet, who was foretold to come. All right. Also John the Baptist, same spirit that was in both of those individuals was in the man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens. And he is the one that fulfilled this scripture. And what did he do? And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children. So he's the one, but let me read the rest. And the heart of the children to their fathers. So basically he's the one that brought us back by way of remembrance, to who we are, in today's time. Because we didn't know who we were until he came on the scene and started breaking things down. Now, the Hebrew Israelite thing, as far as, it is concerned, dealing with, Jake, the true people, goes back, to other men prior to him that he came into their studies. But he was the only one out of all of them that started to go into the New Testament to break it down. And One West is the only group that has ever, that I know of, put up a 12 tribes chart of who all of the tribes were, because that was a commandment that was given to Ezekiel to do. Why? Because it was supposed to be like a banner to draw in the Israelites. It was supposed to be a banner so that Jake can, when they were out there, they inquire. Not every Jake inquires. A lot of them look. Some of them come up and inquire of the chart. What does this mean? Oh, I see myself over here. What does that mean? And boom, that gives you opportunity to break it down for them. That wasn't done anywhere else. That wasn't done from any of those other men prior to Elder Abba Bivens. And Elder Abba Bivens himself the sign wasn't given to him. He knew that the so-called Negroes were Israelites. He knew about, I'm sure he knew about Benjamin and Levi. He mentioned, the so-called North American Indians, which he knew they were Israelites. He mentioned the so-called Puerto Ricans. He knew they were Israelites. But the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gave all of the breakdown and understanding of that 12 tribes chart to High Priest Ariah, which was the understudy and reader for Elder Abba Bivens. So he's the one that turned our hearts back to our forefathers as a nation entirely, not just as the Southern Kingdom, which was the predominant group, for lack of better words, in the land of Jerusalem and Israel at that time. All right. Least I come and smite the earth with a curse. Why? Because the Lord is going to destroy this place in the great day of the Lord. His great fierce, his great wrath. But he's going to save a remnant of his people. And that would be the 1/3, which are known as the elect. All right. Which that also goes hand in hand with Revelation, the 7th chapter, with the 144,000 and the great multitude. That would be your 1/3. That also goes hand in hand with 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter. When Yahushua saw, when Ezra saw Yahushua putting crowns on the men that stood stiffly for his word, and that great company that was there with them, which were the ones that were being delivered in this time. Okay? So least I come and smite the earth with a curse. So going back, Zechariah 13:1, in that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, meaning both kingdoms, the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. Because King David ruled over the whole nation. He ruled 7 years over Judah, and he ruled 33 years over the rest of Israel. So it was a whole nation coming together, not just one tribe or two tribes or three tribes or half of or part of the kingdom. When we go back 2,000 years ago, the whole nation of Israel was not in the land of Israel. When we come up to date today, in the actual land of Israel today, you don't have all of the nation of Israel in that land. You have some, and even among them small hats, you have Israelites. You have some Armenians that are there, the Jakes. You have the Israelites down in Dimona, so on and so forth. But as a nation, all of the tribes of Israel are not in that land today. That's how we know it's not talking about that. It's talking about America. Like it, believe it, or not. It says, in that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. Why? Because at one time we fell off. So we had to be brought back to remembrance. We had to be brought back to repentance. For what? For our iniquities. This is why the Apostle Paul spoke about sin and spoke about becoming a new man and spoke about leaving those things behind. The old man that we used to be, leaving that behind. So before we read on, let's go from there, because we're dealing with David, the house of David, which is what's being built right now before your face. Let's go to the book of Hosea, chapter 3, verse 4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king. And that's true. And without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. So we remained without anything. No remembrance of anything. There's no remembrance. We had no remembrance of any of that going back, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000. We had no memory of any of it. So the Lord had to bring it back to us. And in doing so, we would be looking for what? David our king. Why? Because the Lord would build up the tabernacles of David that are fallen. It says, afterwards shall the children of Israel return. What does the word return mean? Shawab in the Hebrew, which means to come back or to convert. When the scriptures speak about the converts, these are talking about the Israelites that turn back from their wickedness. And the main thing that Jake was doing was what? Worshipping of idols. All right. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and David their king. Why? Because the Lord is establishing the house of David. Hence, when we read in Zechariah, the fountain that's being opened to who? The house of David. Not just the southern kingdom, which was predominantly in the land of Israel back then. And you can't even use that today because you don't have the southern kingdom in the land of Israel as a whole. You have some of them in there. You have a sprinkle of them in there, but not as a whole. All right. So going back, it says, and shall fear the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and his goodness and what? In the latter days, which is talking about now. All right. It's talking about in these times. So the house of David is being, built up in these times. All right. So moving on. Amos 9 and 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. Why? Because this is prophecy. And we're witnessing prophecy being fulfilled. And we're witnessing the truth being taught out there so that the ones that are part of the 1/3 here in America can be delivered or sealed and delivered. And then the 2/3 here in America will be destroyed. Now, you will have Israelites around the world that will be saved. You have Israelites around the world that will be destroyed. But they have nothing to do with the 1/3 and the 2/3. And the 2/3, because it speaks about a land. A particular land, singular. All right. So it says, and close up the breaches thereof. What are the breaches? The breaches are the differences between the tribes. Like it says, Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. Because there's a constant friction going back and forth. And you see Esau right now also pushing, Jake, mainly Judah, to get riled up, Benjamin too, and Levi, but mainly, Judah, to get up in arms and upset with the migrants, mainly the Jake migrants, of the northern kingdom coming up from Central America, South America, and Mexico. They're getting them, wound up and angry with them, to cause and keep that friction there. But the Lord said he's removing the breaches thereof. Now, when you come into the truth, you see brothers, from the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom vibing together. You see Judah and Ephraim, and Judah and Manasseh, Judah or Benjamin, and Simeon, different other tribes coming together. You see Levi and Simeon in the truth vibing together. But in the land of Haiti and Dominican Republic, they're killing each other. See, so the Lord is building that up and removing those differences. And because the Lord broke the brotherhood, but now he's mending the brotherhood through the teachings that we're teaching out here, which the Lord said that he sent his word, and the word was what healed them. All right, it says, and I, meaning the Most High Yahweh, will raise up his ruins and will build it as in the days of old. So what were the days of old? The days of old was when all the tribes were under King David's rule. Just bear with me 1 second. I don't know if this is it right here. Nope, that's not it. Let me try. I don't think it's 2 Kings. Nope, that's not it either. I don't want to do. Let me see something. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, let me go back one more. Nope, this is not it. Let's see. Let me see if it'll come up this way. Oh yeah, Barakateh Al-Bashim Al-Shai. It was actually 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel 5, and I'll start at 3. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel, the whole nation of Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. So when the scriptures speak about in Zechariah the Lord, opening up the fountain to the house of David, it's talking about the whole nation of Israel, not just the southern kingdom that were in the land of Israel 2,000 years ago. And definitely not today in the land of Israel, because the land of Israel today does not have all of the Israelites there. So it's impossible for that to be talking about that land. All right? Now, moving on. Back in Amos. Let me read that again. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and will build it as in the days of old. And that's the whole nation coming back together as one. All right, which eventually in the kingdom that will be established right now is just talking about the 1/3 of the whole nation. All right, out of every tribe, those that are part of the elect out of every tribe. All right. So, going back to Zechariah, let's read it again, 13:1. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land. And he said out of his mouth, Chief High Priest Eleazar, he said, we know that America is given to idolatry, and they're not going to stop, their idolatry. But that's not talking about America. He said it was talking about the land of Israel. which doesn't make sense because America is idolatrous, and America will be visited for their idolatry. Jeremiah 50 and 1. 50 verse 1. Unless he doesn't believe that this is dealing with America, Babylon the Great. The word that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations and publish, set up a standard, publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded. What is Bel? Bel is one of their idols, which America today worships with a different name. It says, Merodach is broken in pieces, another idol of Esau today. Under a different name today, of course. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces. It says, for out of the north there shall come up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, which is America, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. So the Lord is coming to visit the idols of Babylon. Let me see something. Hopefully this doesn't come up too many times. 100 matches, okay. But we're just looking for one particular one. Okay, beautiful. Jeremiah 51 and 18. So we read that the Lord is coming to confound these devils' idols. Now, when we go to the 51st chapter and the 18th verse, we might jump up just a little bit. It says, 17, every man is brutish by his knowledge, every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. Right, that's dealing with these false idols. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. That's dealing with here in America. So America is going to be, they're going to perish. These idols are going to perish here. The memory of them, the worshiping of them, and them themselves. Actually, I'm not sure if that was at the camp or on our way back from camp, where the apostles, they were speaking about, the so-called Christ of the Andes, and how, when Yahushua comes back, he's going to destroy that giant statue that's out there in that harbor. And Apostle Gabar said he's going to smite it. We just making fun of it, say he's going to be spinning up in the air, and then he's going to lob his head off, And that's dealing with all the way down there. But here in America, North America, their idols are going to be also, because you have Caesar Borgia all over the place. You have these different Renaissance art statues that are all over the place, claiming to be, the men of the Lord and, Peter and all of that. Those are going to be all, visited and destroyed. So I don't understand why he's saying that this is definitely not talking about America. It says, and they shall no more be remembered, and also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. Right. Because this place is extremely wicked. This is the land of graven images. Matter of fact, where is that at? Right, Jeremiah 50 and 38. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. Yeah, because everything's going to be burnt up here. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. And then you also have what? False prophets that are prophesying in the name of these idols, even though they're not saying the ancient names, but they're saying today Jesus and Christ. Those are all idols. Because the Heavenly Father's Son's name is Yahushua, which is he's the Messiah. Which means he will deliver, or he will save. All right? For it is the land of ungraven images, and they are mad upon the idols. So they will be visited for these things. Back in Jeremiah 51:18, they are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. So going back, right, it says that the idols are going to be cut off. The names are going to be cut off. They're not going to be remembered anymore. which that goes hand in hand with Hosea, the 2nd chapter, where the Lord said he's going to take the names of Baal and Balaam away from Jake. So going back to Zechariah 13:3, and it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother shall that begat him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesied. And you're going to see that a lot of these people in the churches, they're going to turn against the pastors. They're going to turn against the false prophets. You know, it don't matter if the pastor is your relative or whatever the case may be. People are going to turn against these demons because them demons, you know, have led them astray. Right? It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed every one of his vision. All of these false prophets, the T.D. Jakes, your different, you know, TV evangelists, you know, your Creflo Dollars, and all of them, you know, the top ones and the lower ones are going to be ashamed. The false prophets among Israel are going to be ashamed for a long time in the kingdom of heaven. They're going to be ashamed for teaching the bullshit that they're teaching. It says, when he had prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive, right? Because the prophets in the past wore rough garments. That's how they got down. All right. When we go to real quick, just to segue into this real quick, in Hebrews 11 chapter, which I had posted this precept in one of Apostle Gabar's videos, where he spoke about the sakos, which is the I forget what the word is in Revelation chapter 11, where they shall wear, forget how it's worded in, you know, but the Greek word is sakos. Hebrews 11 and 36. And others, meaning the prophets, had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover of bonds and imprisonments. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goat skins, you know, rough garments. You know, John the Baptist, the garment that he had of camel's hair, which the IUCPK talking about, that costs a lot of money. Something like that, they said. I forget, years ago. First of all, camels came a dime a dozen back then, dude. You know? So he wore a rough garment. That's why Yahweh Shai said, what came ye to see? You came. They that have soft raiment are in king's houses. He was wearing a rough garment. Why? Because he was a true prophet of the Lord, being destitute, afflicted, tormented. So that's the point. So going back to Zechariah 13 now and 5, but he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. Right, and the truth is going to come out. That these false prophets are not prophets at all, but they're phonies, they're profiteers. And their congregation is going to turn against them. And they're going to get busy on their ass. You know, hey, when the people get upset, they turn against the leader. You know, Marie Antoinette and what was it? That individual, him and his wife, the dictator of Italy back then, Mussolini and his wife. They destroyed them. So when they get a hand on you false prophets, they're going to tear you limb from limb. It says, and one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. All right. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd. Now this verse here, verse 7, happened 2,000 years ago when Yahweh Shai came on the scene and eventually was crucified. And when he was crucified, the apostles scattered away from him. But then they came back together because the prophecy stated that once he was smitten, the sheep were going to scatter. And at that time, you had 11 disciples that were still following Yahweh Shai, that were scattered. But then after that, after he came back and resurrected, they were gathered back together, and eventually they got the spiritual power, so on and so forth. And you know the rest. And against the man that is my fellow, which is Yahweh Shai, saith Yahweh of hosts, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. And I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. Right. And now the Lord is, in these times, he's gathering the little ones. which is or are the house of David, as we read in the first verse. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David, not just to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, or to the southern kingdom alone, to the whole nation, the ones that are part of the elect in this time. Then it goes on to say, Zechariah 13:8, and it shall come to pass that in all the land of America, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. So 2/3 of the nation of Israel are going to die in this land, which you see the pie chart here, which is heavy because the 1/3 represents 33.3 and the 2/3 represents 66.6, which is the number of the devil, 666. All right. It says, but the third shall be left therein, meaning the third is going to be delivered. All right. They're going to be delivered. And I will bring the third part through the fire, which means they're going to be refined, refurbished. They're going to be made perfect through the afflictions. And eventually, when the Lord comes back, he's going to lift up the elect into his chariot, while this whole place is falling apart. That's why Psalms 91 says, only with thine eyes shall thou see the reward of the wicked. 1,000 shall fall at thy right hand and 10,000 at thy left, or something like that. But it shall not come nigh thee. So the elect will be protected all the way to the end, because they were sealed from the beginning of the world. And will refine them as silver is refined. And the refining is going on right now through the tribulations, the trials and tribulations the hell brothers are going through. Being beaten down mentally, physically, so on and so forth. Dealing with the toil of the day, the turmoil of the day, the turmoil of the week. When dealing with all kind of bullshit in that furnace of affliction. Being refined as silver is refined. Burning out all of the impurities. It says, and I will try them as gold is tried, right? And that's what's happening right now. The fire that's being put on the elect is what? The furnace of affliction. These afflictions that burn. It says, they shall call on my name. So we know this ain't speaking about the ISUPK, unless they repent. They shall call on my name. What's the name of the Lord? Yahweh. And I will hear them. Because the Lord said he's going to take out the names of Balaam and Baal away from Jake. And he's going to give the true names of Yahweh and Yahushai. That's why he says, what is his name and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. And I will hear them. I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is my power. Because you have an elect among the nation of Israel. And 1/3 of the nation of Israel here in America will be delivered. And the 2/3 will be cut off and die in the land, that land, this land of graven images. All right. This is the book of Galatians 6:16. And as many as walk according to this rule, peace be on them and mercy and upon the Israel of the Most High. The Israel of the Most High are who? The elect of the nation of Israel, which will be delivered in these times. 1/3 will be delivered in America. 2/3 will die on the soils of America. Any nation outside the nation of Israel that's on the soils of America will perish. Edomites and all the other nations, all of the other ites. And 2/3 of the nation of Israel will perish here in America. And, the 1/3 will be delivered. And all of the idols here will be burnt up. This is the land of graven images, man. The hell this guy talking about that this ain't talking about? We know that ain't talking about America. Come on, man. But this is what happens when you sever yourself from the vine, from the root, and your branch begins to wither, which we witnessed that at the camp. We over there speaking, and Apostle Tar I forgot who he was speaking about. I'm not sure if he mentioned the Bishop Nathaniel. He was speaking about somebody, and all of a sudden the branch, old dry branches fell from the tree, boom, next to the camp, and it broke in two. And so, look, the branch that withered or something like that. I forgot what I said. And Apostle Tar asked, I believe Bishop Sakaran went and grabbed it, or Apostle Gabar went and grabbed it. and it showed the withered branch. And that's what happens when you're severed away from the true vine, which is Yahweh Shai. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been, your few sisters have been edified. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. What can I say? It proved it, showed you that it was what it was talking about. This guy's giving you conjecture, and well, we know that America is not going to. We know that America is not going to repent from idolatry, but it's not talking about America. Come on, man. So that's it, man. Bottom line. So I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. The water for tuning in. Shalom.